Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos. He is the author of Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, improved edition of PED use in sports. Excellent book. You can get it at his website, gtool.com. gtool.com. It's also available on amazon.com. Joining us from Athens, Greece. How are you, sir?
Hello, Ron. I'm fine. I'm well. Have a good week. Have a good day.
Okay.
Actually, it's my name day today in Greece because we celebrate this also apart from birthdays.
Your name day. So it's like everybody named George. This is like your day.
Yes.
Okay. Now you're in Greek. It's how do you say your name in Greek?
Yorgo.
Okay. Yeah.
Yuri is in Russian. Yuri.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My son-in-law is we call him Moses, but he's Lebanese, and that's Musa. So it's a lot of different.
Moses is Hebrew, right?
You would think, but yeah, he happens to be a Christian gentleman. But I guess any biblical name is good to go. Because I went to it's actually they were married in a a Lebanese Orthodox church, which is very, very similar, I believe, to Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, Samir Banut is also Christian. I think
is
he's
he?
Catholic.
Samir Banut, I thought he was Muslim. No,
he's Christian.
Oh, is he? Okay. I don't know. Well, we're not going to get into religion. We're going to get into PEDs because that's what people come here for. We've got some great questions from the listeners, the viewers, and the very first one we're going to start with. Hey there, great job, Mr. Touliatos. I'm currently on 62.5 micrograms T4 daily for hypothyroidism. So he's got low thyroid. How could I use T3 or T4 on a cutting cycle safely and effectively, and then return to my current regimen? That's a good question, because I've never heard of people who are actually already on it wanting to use more for cutting.
There was a case in Greece who an IFBB Pro 2 years ago asked me about this. Now, people who are following replacement therapy of thyroid hormones, and mainly it's T4 because thyroxine is responsible for making T3 and is the major thyroid hormone. They get replaced, and before they get replaced, they have almost sky-high TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone. When this is up, it means that the thyroid metabolism is really low, sluggish. You are hypothyroidic. Okay. And sometimes also we evaluate the antibodies, anti-TPO and anti-TG, in case we have the inflammation and the autoimmune disease of Hashimoto. Which is most of the times is hypothyroidic. Okay. It begins with hyper, but then it turns to hypo. Now, when a guy receives T4, usually when we we assess his thyroid lab work, his TSH is kind of low. It's almost 1.5, 1 or 0.5. The lower the TSH, the more reactive is, the more hyper is the thyroid, but it means that your metabolism is high, it's elevated, you can burn fat. And this is how endocrinologists estimate if you are optimized by measuring by assessing the TSH. Yeah. Now, when this guy is using TSH is the basic replacement therapy for thyroid, but we have to know that it's more also friendly for the heart, because thyroid hormones are responsible for catecholamines release and stimulation of adrenergic sympathetic receptors. Therefore, we have heart rate, speeding of breathing, respiration, and this can also bring to sweating, sometimes to dehydration. And in case of thyroid toxicity, we may have this exophthalmos, which means the eye bulbs are bulging out.
Yeah, bug eyes.
Yes, and the other side is myxedema, which is feeling sluggish and feeling cold and having body fat retention. So it's the other way. Now, when somebody is using T4 at 64, 65, 62.5, means this is not something super high dose. I have heard guys using 100, 150, almost 200.
Wow.
So what I suggest is to start elevating a little bit of T4, and T4 is also responsible of making T3. As a matter of fact, T4 has a slower half-life of T3, therefore using one pill of T4 per day is enough. However, T3 requires twice a day because the half-life is shorter. And as a matter of fact, this tree is more potent for fat burning, but also consider it's also more aggressive for the heart, for heart arrhythmia, for insomnia, even for muscle breakdown, because thyroid hormones are catabolic. Now, this guy can elevate his T4. For instance, he can make a click upwards with 25 micrograms, the smallest dose. So, yes, he can go up to 85 micrograms, and then estimate also his TSH, but also evaluate the other side effects in breathing, in heart rate, in sleeping. Okay, sometimes you have trembling in the hands. Some other times you have sweating, restlessness. And this also can take place when we use Trenbolone and growth hormone, because growth hormones is responsible for converting T4 to T3. This is how it becomes effective in fat burning. However, when we use growth hormone and without any thyroid replacement therapy, we notice a slight decrease in T4. Therefore, we have to supplement, in case of a long-term growth hormone use, also thyroid hormones.
Wow.
So I suggest, yes, to evaluate TSH, to monitor the side effects, make sure there's no muscle wasting, so you use the proper anabolic stack. And yes, this has to take place also under Trenbolone and growth hormone, because there are some speculations that they affect the thyroid metabolism.
So this guy needs to use Tren and growth, you're saying, if he wants to do this effectively?
In case he uses Tren and growth hormone, there is more reason of elevating his T4 replacement.
Okay, cool. All right. Quick question about that, because back in the old days, a lot of fitness competitors, a lot of women were notorious for using T3. Cytomel, and then supposedly they ruined their thyroid function, and they had to stay.
Yes, this is very, very sensitive homeostasis, because there comes a point that if you mess up with your thyroid, there's no turning back.
Wow.
And you become a hypothyroid for the rest of your life.
Oh my God.
Therefore, you have to supplement it.
Wow.
No.
That's rough. Okay.
And also, you lose muscle if you don't use more of anabolics. Okay, you have heart arrhythmia. This is nasty. You have insomnia. Insomnia also leads to adrenal fatigue. So there's a chain reaction to all this.
A lot of bad things happen. Okay. Next question. This is such a common question, Doctor. You probably get this question, or you've got this question thousands of times, I bet. In your experience, Doctor, what amount of AAS would someone need to build an impressive body? Not a mass monster, but a good, respectable physique with health as a top priority. What amount would you not go over, and what kind of AAS would you feel meet those criteria?
Yes, this question remembers me of a guy who was totally out of fitness, and he told me, "Doc, I want to start lifting, but I don't want to become like Arnold." And 5 minutes later, he grabbed a slice of pizza. Now,
hold on. Do you remember the famous Arnold Schwarzenegger quote about that?
Don't worry, you'll never become like me.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen, dude.
And he also said the last thing I wanted was to be like somebody else.
Right. So your buddy didn't want to look like Arnold. What was it?
I tried 25 years to become like Arnold. I cannot.
No. Me too.
So this question is very personalized, because everybody responds differently according to genetic predisposition, according to your body type, if you are ectomorph, if you are mesomorph, if you are endomorph, if you are genetically predisposed, if you have high myostatin levels, if you have low, if you are then very fanatic about training, if you're very disciplined in dieting. So yes, this is you cannot answer to everybody. One size does not fit all. Is, as you call it, how you call it, is subjective.
Yeah.
So personally, I have tried high doses of gear when I wanted to break my limits during the off season. Yeah. It doesn't mean because I've used 2 grams of testosterone I would be like Mr. Grease, for instance. I cannot become because of my skeletal structure, because of my natural strength levels. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people claim that the one who is not afraid of death, hypothetically, is gonna climb higher to the pro levels, but doesn't mean more is better. Okay. According to Bill Welling, there comes the saturation, the receptor saturation theory that gear is not utilized after a point and after 8 to 10 weeks. Therefore, you have to change the doses, the esters, the compounds, okay, to on off. So I believe, but frankly, I believe there is a point that below that drugs doesn't work. For instance, half a gram of testosterone is necessary, okay?
Yeah.
Or 400 milligrams of DHEA per week is also necessary. Some people say that half a gram of equipose is also necessary. According to the half-life, winstrol has to be injected every day or every other day. Therefore, at least 150 or 300 milligrams per week is also necessary. Same goes from testopropionate and masteron, which is also propionate. There are also some protocols about growth hormone that say 2 IUs are for rejuvenation and the aging, then 4 are for fat burning, and over 8 are for muscle building properties. Some protocols for insulin, because insulin is very dangerous, that 100 kilograms requires 10 units, okay, and this is fair enough. Well, personally, when I gave my interview to Anabolic Org and to Zakowski, I told him there was 1 week when I pushed it to the limit, my DHEA, it was about 1 gram of DHEA, natural phenylpropionate. 600 of Primo was easy, was something quite common. Also the same goes for DHEA. To the pills, I have used 50 milligrams of Halo, of Winnie, of Anavar, 100 milligrams of Proviron. But these doses, I believe, are quite common. I have heard guys abusing up to 2.5 grams of testosterone. I heard that some Olympians use
25 grams of test a week?
No, 2.5.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 25. Wow. Yeah, 2.5. I hear that all the time. That's not uncommon.
Yes, Andreas Munzer, according to his cycle, when he passed away, he was using 3.5 grams per week of testoviron, which goes 500 milligrams per day.
Yeah. Wow.
But I have heard more, even more, that some pro guys and some Olympians. I think 3 to 4 grams of gear per week is something usual for professionals of anabolic steroids.
But if you don't have the genetics to be that size...
Yes. I cannot become Ronnie Coleman or whatever gear I'm going to use.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that Ronnie Coleman was using more than Andreas Munzer.
Right.
Okay? The same goes for Lee Haney.
Right.
Okay? Also comes... strength, dedication, genetics, everything.
And there is something that people do respond differently. There are people that are just, I call them hyper responders. You know, a gram of gear for them a week would give them the results of somebody else would need like 3, 4, 5 grams of gear a week.
If my gym partner uses the same gear as me, it doesn't mean we're going to evolve the same.
Yeah.
It's also matters about our DNA structure.
Right. So that question really, it's too individualized. It really can't be answered, unfortunately.
But, but if you use 100 of Primo, you're going to see some serious results, right?
Sure.
The medical prescribed dose, for instance, 10 milligrams of Anavar for burning or for cachexia will reverse this, but doesn't mean you're going to develop in muscle growth.
Right. Okay, here's a question that we skipped over last time because of my bad. What is your opinion on using 7-keto DHEA for fat burning?
Yes, I have also used 7-keto. Now, 7-keto DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone, is a metabolizer of DHEA, and DHEA is something that declines, is a prohormone from the adrenals, and declines after the age of 40, and should be supplemented accordingly to the S-DHEA levels, which mean the sulfate form of DHEA, to the bloodstream. And personally, I use DHEA every day the last 3 years. Now, DHEA is responsible for cognitive function, for improving libido through elevating free testosterone by crushing SHBG, Also, it can lead to better immune response, more bone mineral density, even fat burning as an androgen. And 7-keto DHEA is a fat burner, and it's responsible for thermogenesis. That means core stimulation of heat, but it works like DMP theoretically. It doesn't include catecholamines release. Therefore, you don't have the nasty side effects to the heart, to the lungs, to the central nervous system. It doesn't speed up heart rate.
No.
But it's responsible for converting some enzymes that take place for beta oxidation of adipose tissue and fat burning of free fatty acids. I have used a 7-keto DHEA from the age management clinic I used to cooperate with. I was their associate. And it works well under low caloric, low carb diet. Therefore, you should have a caloric deficit in order to, as it works with everything. But it can boost your metabolism without having the nasty side effects of clen, of ECA-stack, of caffeine.
Could it be used with those? Because I'm sure some people are going to want to use everything at the same time possible.
I think it's okay if you're using already ECA-stack or clen or T3. There's no need for using this. But for people who are using CLA or carnitine or 7-keto DHEA can also help them.
Okay. Okay, here's one from, not sure who this was from. Thanks for answering the question about hematocrit. So that was last time. I was wondering if you could answer here whether it's still a risk when fibrinogen, platelets, and WC are low. I've watched videos with Dr. Neil Ruzian where he had stated a high hematocrit/hemoglobin in isolation is not a risk factor. However, I remember cyclists dying when they had hematocrits in the 60s from EPO use. I wonder if there were any other abnormalities in their blood other than high hematocrits in isolation.
Yes. This is good to clarify because also according to John Chrysler, who passed away this year, he was an excellent physician, and Dr. O'Connor also knows him.
Yeah.
There is we have to separate between erythrocytosis and polycythemia. Polycythemia vera, it's diagnosed by using a genetic test of JAK2, means that the red bone marrow produces a large amount of red blood cells and hemoglobin, but also thrombocytes or platelets are also elevated, and this is something very dangerous for clotting because platelets are responsible for aggregation and formation of clots.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you have low levels of platelets, for instance, 150,000, the lowest range, there is less frequency, less chances of leading to clot formation. You can also control platelets by using aspirin or fish oil. Fish oil mainly for those who have G6PD enzyme deficiency. But yes, I'm also myself erythrocytotic. I don't go below 17 of hemoglobin. Sometimes I went up to 20. And what keeps me alive mainly is, of course, I use aspirin and fish oil, but my platelets are already down. Aspirin does not affect their absolute number, but it affects their, it lowers aggregation tendency.
Okay, so it prevents clotting?
Prevents clotting, yes, but also having low number in platelets is also something safe, which is a classic thing of erythrocytosis. Erythrocytosis refers mainly to hemoglobin and hematocrit. Okay. And if it's above 18 of hemoglobin, meaning 54% of hematocrit, then you should get phlebotomized. Now about fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is a clotting factor made up from the liver. Fibrinogen elevates with smoking. Smoking also leads to platelets aggregation. Therefore, steroid users, you should not smoke because smoking brings platelets closer and then forms clotting tendency. Elevates fibrinogen and also lowers HDL. That's why bodybuilding and steroid use should not be accompanied by smoking. Besides, smoking releases carbon monoxide. That means you're not an athlete. You have lower oxygen saturation in your blood, and this is something not good for an athlete. It's not wise to smoke while lifting weights or doing cardio. Now, low fibrinogen is a better case scenario for somebody who has high hemoglobin and hematocrit levels.
Yeah.
And what another thing that steroids are responsible to do is they lead to fibrinolysis. That means they increase the bleeding tendency of the steroid user. Now, if you get cut, you're supposed to clot in 3 minutes. If you get shaved and you get cut, but if you're a steroid user, this wound is gonna heal. Is gonna close in 5 minutes. Therefore, in internal bleeding, you may have this clotting tendency. And I noticed myself when I was operated for an intramuscular abscess, I was already into steroid cycle, and I hear the surgeon saying that bleeding is not stopping. Therefore, he had to do a different process, putting a smell burning flesh.
Wow. Cauterize it?
Yes.
Wow.
Therefore, in this case, you should be administered with vitamin K that speeds clotting process.
Wow. Yeah. Quick story. I went for a vasectomy in early 2000s. So this is 19 years ago, and I was on a steroid cycle. And the doctor, I don't know how it came up, but I finally told him, and this was the day of the surgery. He said, "I'm not doing it."
Yes.
I had to leave. I had to reschedule. He says, "I'm not going to operate on you if you're on steroids. You're gonna bleed.
Yes.
You're gonna bleed out on my table."
Yes. They have the lab work and they evaluate it, and then they estimate if you are ready for an operation or not.
Yeah. So.
If it's very necessary to be operated, they're gonna give you plasma. That plasma also has all the clotting factors from the liver. So you get IV plasma.
This was not a life or death operation. I could wait. So. Okay, here's a good one. If no testosterone base is used, but, for example, DHEA and a DHT derivative, wouldn't one have all the traits of test and therefore need none, and probably not AI, as DHEA is not as estrogenic as test? So if they're on DHEA and a DHT derivative like Tren, would that be a DHT derivative?
No, Tren is not a DHT derivative. It's a 94.
So what would be a common DHT derivative steroid?
Oxandrolone, stanozolol, and methanolone.
Okay, prima bona.
But also, listen, drostanolone, masteron, is the perfect substitute for testosterone. It's synthetic DHT, is injectable, and as a matter of fact, the last 2 weeks before the show, we substitute suspension testosterone with, even though it's water-based, we substitute it with oil-based masteron, because it doesn't aromatize. So it can become an androgen-based masteron along with proviron. It's the same almost substance, DHT, synthetic. The one is oral, the other is injectable every other day. So instead of testosterone, he can use masteron along with proviron, and does not get the water retention in the gynecomastia and the aromatization coming from testosterone. But DHEA can aromatize in 400 milligrams per week. It can.
Oh, it can?
I believe so. In 400 milligrams, yes, it can.
I mean, most guys are running even more than that. 500, 600, 800 is not uncommon.
Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah. So they would need to use an aromatase inhibitor if they want to make sure they're not going to have these effects. Yeah.
When your E2 is really low, it's not elevated, then I think prolactin doesn't catch us up. So if you have already low E2, then you won't get prolactinemia. Prolactinemia is favored by aromatization.
Okay. So
addition of testosterone in DHEA leads to prolactinemia if you don't control aromatization of testosterone.
Okay. So his question is, does he need an aromatase inhibitor if all he's running are DHEA and...
No, I don't think so. He can use DHEA along with masteron and proviron, and he has no need either for cabergoline or anastrozole.
Okay, cool. All right, final question. This came in at the last minute. Greetings to Doc and Ron. What is your opinion about usage of Triptorelin in PCT in dosage of 100 to 200 micrograms one time, followed with tamoxifen citrate for 4 weeks at 40 milligrams? 40 milligrams, 20 milligrams, 20 milligrams protocol. So so the 4 weeks would be 40, 40, 20, 20.
Okay, Triptorelin is a synthetic, is an agonist, is a synthetic gonadotropin releasing hormone. So it's an agonist of GnRH, and actually medically is given to prostate cancer. But I'm going to explain why this. Triptorelin is used mainly not as a PCT protocol, but as a restart of the HPTA when it's already hypogonadism, but shouldn't be used more than once, because in the long term it downregulates, and it leads in the opposite effect. That means castration totally.
Oh, wow.
It's used in prostate cancer.
Hmm.
Now, if it's used wisely under very small doses, in the beginning, it's going to stimulate HPTA. But if this proceeds, it's going to have the negative effects and will shut off permanently the HPTA. Triptorelin is used in case PCTs do not work, and in case somebody does not will to proceed into TRT or HRT. There was a case of a friend of mine, an endocrinologist, who used it in the Kalman syndrome of a boy. Kalman's syndrome means that hypophysis is totally inactive due to brain trauma. And there is no production of LH or FSH. And he administrated small amounts of triptorelin according to papers, the guidelines internationally. And there was a slight restart and a kick of HPTA. The point is, you don't know in what levels will finally bring.
Right.
And if this is fair enough for you to live for the rest of your life. Okay? But if you mess up with this, then it goes the opposite, and then there's downregulation, and eventually there is completely shut off of your testicles and of your thalamus. Therefore, it should use it very wisely according to endocrinologist, okay, and not used frequently as a PCT.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, we're all bro scientists. It sounds to me like people shouldn't even go near this stuff if they're not.
You should not touch it.
Right.
Serums are okay. Serums and clomiphene and tamoxifen are responsible of stimulating GnRH indirectly by lowering estrogens in the brain. But also these have also side effects to the mood. Okay, and you cannot live with clomid all your life. It can help, but afterwards you use HCG, and is not as effective as HCG for the balls.
Right. I mean, what would happen if you did use Clomid every day for the rest of your life?
I think you went nuts. You're gonna go very depressive. Yes.
Yeah, you'd cry all the time, wouldn't you? I've heard people.
You have swings. You become very sensitive. You watch a film and you start crying. It's all brain chemistry, right?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, doctor, thank you so much. Now we want more questions, guys. So please leave your good questions. We want some really great questions in the comments section underneath the video.
Questions are becoming more hard. I have to study sometimes.
They are. They're becoming. That's why we want them ahead of time, because Dr. Touliatos likes to do research and give you guys the best possible answers with research to back it up, because that's what this is all about.
So far, we have answered 48 questions. Yes,
Yeah.
6 times, 8 episodes, 6 questions each time.
Yeah.
So it's almost 50 questions, eh?
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to 100 soon. Don't worry. So, okay, Dr. Touliatos, thank you so much for sharing your medical knowledge and expertise, personal experiences, everything. You're in a unique situation because you've walked the walk and talked the talk. So you're able to give really good answers and advice to these people that they're just not going to get anywhere else. So we appreciate it.
May's issue of muscular development. Do you have May's issue?
May issue. Who's on the cover of May? I believe I do have it. I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, and also, guys, every month in Muscular Development Magazine, you can see his column. I believe it's called Ask Dr. Testosterone, or it's just called Dr. Testosterone.
And I hope we make an interview also.
Oh yeah, we're going to do a much longer interview because these are short. These are we want to do something.
Interview of the magazine.
Oh, in the magazine. Okay. Yeah, we will. It's coming up. We're coming up on that little gap period before the Olympia, where we don't have to worry about hyping up this or that show. So that's how it goes in the magazine world. All right, everybody, thank you guys for watching. Please go to the website, gtoul.com. You can pick up the copy of this book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's a great primer on PED use, all the different, most commonly used PEDs, how they're used, dosages, side effects, good effects, bad effects, everything you want to know. It's a very good overview of PED use that I think everybody, if you're thinking about starting to use drugs, you need to read a book like that first and get yourself educated. and this is an excellent way to get a very basic education that'll serve you well over the years of
I have
use.
all the secrets how to become like me.
Yeah. So you and O'Connor hit the same arm shot every time. So he starts the show off with a bicep flex. It's always that same arm too, his right arm. So
It was a crazy powerlift, 500 pounds. Huh?
yeah, I mean that's a lot. That's a big bench press. 500 pounds is like that's like a 20-inch arm, a 500-pound bench.
So this is 300 pounds only.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think I ever did more than 315 on my own. Maybe 365 for one. Nothing impressive. So everybody, thanks for watching. Ask Dr. Testosterone. Leave your questions for the next episode in the comments below, please. And we very much appreciate you guys watching the show. We'll see you next time.